Hello again, let's look at board number 2 from the set of boards A, beginner's hands, Bridge Master. So let's do our little checklist of tasks. What is our contract? 6 no trumps. What does that mean? You mean you have to make 12 tricks without trumps, no trumps. Look at the bidding. This bidding is not very informative, but remember, sometimes it will be. Next task, counter tricks. In spades, you have ace, king, and queen. That's 3. And you cannot make more than that because you have no 4th spade anywhere. Remember that principle. You cannot make more tricks than cards that you have in a suit in a no trump contract. Trumps, we'll do some magic with trumps soon, but we're still in no trump. So 3 spades, 3 hearts. Again, also the ace, king, and queen, even though they are divided in both hands, the principle is the same. As long as you don't play an honor underneath an honor, you don't play the queen under the ace, and you won't do that. But if you play the deuce under the ace and the king under the 3, then your 4 will be led to the queen, and you'll make 3 hearts. 3 spades, 3 hearts, 3 diamonds, same reasoning, that's 9. And no clubs so far. So you have 9 tricks and you need to get to 12. And you cannot get any extra tricks in spades, hearts, or diamonds. So this is a very artificial hand that the spotlight is very strongly placed on clubs. And you must, to understand the point of this hand is the power of establishable honors. You don't have the ace of clubs, but you have the king, the queen, the jack, and the 10. And this means that once you drive out the ace, then the next tricks will be won by you. So sometimes they will not win the ace in their first club trick, but you persist. Let's say you win the lead in spades and lead a club and they don't win it. That's 1 trick for you. You remember you had 9 outside of clubs. And if you lead a club and they don't win it, that's trick number 10. Persist. Lead it again. Lead it again. Lead it again until they win their ace. And what that means is you win all of your clubs minus the ace. You have 4 clubs, so you win 3 clubs. And so you'll make your contract with 3 tricks in each suit. And the common error for the absolute beginner in a hand of this type is that he's afraid to mess with suits in which he doesn't have the ace. That's like a blockage, a psychological block. And what happens if you don't do that? Let's just exemplify. The problem is that when you lead honors in suits in which you have fewer cards than your opponents. So in spades you have 3 and 3, that's 6. So meaning they have 7. In hearts it's 3 and 3. Again, they have 7. Diamonds, 3 and 3, so they have 7. If you lead your honors before you lead clubs, it's very likely that when you lead clubs, the player that has the ace will have some small card in one of those other suits that will have become established by your error. So let's do it correctly. Play the club. He persisted in spades. No bother. Let's just run our tricks now, because even there's no way in which we can lose a trick unless, as I said, we play an honor underneath an honor. So if now we play the ace, then we lose a trick, but there's no reason for us to do that. And it's easy to see that we'll win all of them. Let's look at what would have happened. We will see the opponent's cards. What would have happened if you had not led the club immediately? if you had cash 3 spades and 3 hearts and 3 diamonds and then led the club, for instance, what would have happened is that this guy would win the ace of clubs, West would win the ace of clubs, then he would win the last spade. This is a no trump contract, so the last spade wins if it is being led to the trick. Then he would win the last heart, then he would win the last diamond. So he would make no club tricks at all. This is a thing to remember. Let's look at the next board. So this is a trump contract. Look at the bidding. And the trump contract, it's very high level contract. 7 spades, meaning we have to get 13 tricks. Or in another way of putting it, we cannot lose any trick. So I mentioned in a previous video that in a trump contract you often would count losers. But it's a good habit to develop to count both winners and losers. So let's count the winners as we did in the previous no trump contracts, and then we'll exemplify the loser count. We have 6 spade tricks, very clear. All of them. Ace, king, queen, jack, 10 and 9. These are 6 tricks. We have ace, king of hearts. That's 8. Ace, king of diamonds. That's 10. And king and ace of clubs. That's 12. And what is our best chance, most likely chance, to get a 13th trick? If this were a no trump hand, we would the best way to think about no trump hands is look at your longest suit, combined suit in the 2 hands, to see if you can do something with that. You have spades, but you can't do anything else in spades in a no trump contract. And in clubs, you have 8 clubs, but only the ace and king, and very small clubs aside from the ace and king. If you have 8 clubs, that means that they have 5. And if you divide those 5 as evenly as possible, even so one of the opponents has 2 and the other has 3, so the ace and king will never exhaust the clubs. So if this were a no trump contract and you wanted to make an extra trick in clubs, you would be hoping for either some very strange situation, sometimes they happen, or a mistake. That's not so strange. That happens more often. Sometimes a guy with 3 clubs would discard a club once you run your spades, and then you make all the clubs. It's not impossible. But in a trump contract, we have a new way of producing winners, which is, so far we have seen producing winners by establishing honors. Let's king, queen, jack, 10 of clubs of last board. And we still haven't seen them yet, but we will soon enough by establishing small cards, which is by exhausting the opponents of their cards in the suit. But these are tools that are available in no trump. In a trump contract, there's a third kind of trick-producing situation, which is what we call ruffing in the short suit. So spades, you have 6 in your hand and you have 2 in dummy. And so therefore dummy is the short suit in spades, in this trump suit. If you can ruff something in north, that means that you'll make this ruff plus all the other spades that you had already counted. So you would make 6 spades in your hand and 1 ruff there, 7 spades in total, rather than 6. It's good, huh? And so, if you look at the hand carefully, you see that there is the possibility of ruffing a heart in dummy. And that would bring our count up to 13. We would make 6 spades, that ruff, that heart ruff, that's 7, ace king, 9, ace king, 11, ace king, 13. It's much better than playing for a mistake for them to discard a club. Now let's look at this hand from the viewpoint of counting losers, just to exemplify how we would get to the same result. There are no losers in spades. There is 1 loser in heart. This deuce of hearts, it's a possible loser. And there are no losers in diamonds and no losers in clubs because the deuce of clubs is covered by the ace. So you have 1 loser here. Is there any way to discard it, to dispose of it? Yes, there is. What is the way? Ruffing in dummy. So you can rough your lizard on the short suit, short side in trumps, that would dispose of it. Note that if you, for instance, if you try to rough in your hand, if you try king of clubs, ace of clubs, and a small club rough in your hand, you do not produce any extra tricks. Roughing in the long hand does not produce extra tricks because you're already counting with those tricks before roughing anything. And so we are ready to play. After all these introductions, notice that Wes very shrewdly is trying to prevent you from roughing in dummy because he led a trump. So you cannot delay. Here you go. Now there's still plenty of trumps to harm you. Now it's the time to draw them. Now, if you had drawn the trumps before roughing the heart, you would lose the hand. And so you play all your merrily. There are no further trumps. Okay, so you tell the opponents the rest is mine. But since we are on Bridge Master, let's just end the hand and the video with a big star in the middle of the screen. Thanks for watching, folks, and until next video.